And I want to take you back now to 8 years ago, a reminder of what Michelle Obama had to say on that stage.
When someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
So, are they going to be going high this time around? Let's bring in our political panel to discuss. We've got Brakkton Booker and Shelby Talcott here in the United Center. Brakkton is national political correspondent for Politico, and Shelby is a politics reporter for Semafor. Okay, Brakkton, let's start with you.
Sure.
Are they going to go low? Are they going to go high? Are they going to go somewhere in between?
I think they're probably going to go somewhere in between. I feel like when they go low, we go high. It's a little passe, which is why you're going to see some of the people on stage today, like Jasmine Crockett, who famously got into this verbal mix-up with Marjorie Taylor Greene on a House Oversight Committee, where I think a lot of Democrats, it's a signal that a lot of Democrats feel like that is a little passe. The politics of our time now call for politicians and Democrats to go much more forcefully direct at Republicans. So I think you're going to see this passing of the torch, and I feel like some of the speakers on the stage tonight are going to reflect that.
And you can pick and choose who gets to go high and who has to go low to compensate. Shelby, I want to ask you about J.D. Vance. In Philadelphia today, he said that Vice President Harris has been promising action, but that she hasn't taken any action in years. Let's take a listen to what he said.
She says that on day one, she wants to make groceries and homes more affordable for American citizens. Well, Kamala Harris, where have you been? Because you've been vice president for about 1,300 days. Day one was 3.5 years ago. You should have been doing your job then.
So what's the strategy here, Shelby, with both Vance and former President Trump really going after Kamala Harris in a very forceful, very personal way?
Yeah, this is one of the big strategies from Donald Trump's campaign, and it is tying her to the Biden administration, reminding voters that she is in office right now. And so we've heard from J.D. Vance, as you just heard there, and also from Donald Trump, and also from his surrogates that are here in Chicago this week, that if Kamala Harris is going to promise X, Y, and Z, she's been in office for 3.5 years. She should have done this already. And so that's been one of the main arguments we've heard from Donald Trump's campaign as they have tried to sort of solidify these attack lines against Harris that so far they've struggled to really stick, but they're sticking with it, and they believe that this honeymoon period, as they call it, is coming to a close, and so they are going, full in on these sorts of arguments.
Brakkton, the last time that the Democrats had a woman nominee, Hillary Clinton, 8 years ago, she's planning to speak tonight, there was a heavy focus on the fact that this was groundbreaking. She talked about breaking the glass ceiling. We all remember her wearing that white pantsuit, striding out onto the stage, talking about what a new era it would be if she were to be elected. 8 years later, Kamala Harris does not speak about that at all. She really doesn't talk about what it would mean for her to be the first woman president, first woman of color to be president. Why the change?
Look, I think you're going to see her, and what you're seeing right now is she's taking a page out of the Obama playbook, right? Obama did not talk a lot about race, with some exceptions, when, of course, the big speech in Philadelphia where he talked about race in America. But largely, he was talking to middle America. He was talking to some portions of white America that maybe felt uncomfortable about this change. And I think you're seeing the vice president lean fully into that. When Hillary 8 years ago was running as the nominee, it was all about gender, all about I'm with her. And I think the Democrats have taken a page out of that book that, look, Kamala Harris is not hiding her gender. Right. It's clear and present. So she wants to focus on the policies and make sure those policies are connecting with the American people.
But let's not send a signal to anyone that this might be new or scary or different. Let's downplay that.
I also just think, America's beyond that a little bit. I don't think the voters are suddenly scared of who Kamala Harris is. They either want to vote for her or they're considering voting for Donald Trump, but there's no need to lean forcefully into that.
Shelby, one of the names that we're going to be hearing from tonight, we learned, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the Congresswoman, of course, from New York, one of the members of the squad. Republicans have already been looking to use her in ads. Talk about the choice to put her on night one.
I think it's really notable for a few reasons. First of all, it is an acknowledgement to the more left-wing faction of the Democratic Party who have so often made life for President Joe Biden and this administration a little bit more difficult. And it's also representative of just how united this Democratic Party feels and is. It is sort of reminiscent from last month at the RNC when we saw everybody united behind Donald Trump. Even this left-wing faction of the party in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is here speaking. She is behind Kamala Harris, and these are people who, again, made life difficult for the White House. So it's notable for a few reasons, but particularly because of that.
And she is someone who was vocal in her support of President Biden right until the end when he pulled out of the race. Shelby Talcott, Brakkton Booker, thank you both so much. I know we'll be talking again shortly.